I want y'all to take a look at this video. So if you're not familiar with Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate, they've been, I don't know what you would call it, but in police custody, government custody. They were locked up for several months, never been charged for a crime. I know early on in their professions, they were doing like things like webcams. So they were doing things like webcams. And I'm going to let me show the clip first, and then I'll explain to you why I believe that they're going through all the legal trouble that they're going through. All right, let me make sure that this is shared for y'all. And let me know in the chat if you're familiar with Andrew Tate. He was, I believe, like 2 years ago, he was the most Googled man on the planet. Think about that. And when I started looking at him, and I've said this before to you all, I didn't know. It was only when everybody was trying to cancel him that I said, you know what? Let me check out this dude. I don't know much about him, but if everybody's trying to cancel him, then that means I want to look into him. That's just how I operate. So let's take a look at this video, because all these things that we're talking about, and I know if you listen to the show a lot, you know that I get on our male leadership a lot. I'm very hard on our male leadership, specifically leadership overall, but male leadership specifically. Our men have become emasculated. So when we sit back and wonder like, oh, how could we allow this to happen? How could we allow the school system to teach our kids that things that are they don't make sense for them in the real world? How could we do this? How could we allow this? How could we allow our kids to consume all this toxic entertainment, to consume this toxic culture, to eat this toxic food, to be out of shape, to be ignorant, to be naive, all these different things? How? It's because of bad leadership. On any team, right? If we're on any team, think about on your job. Your job's a team, your company's a team, right? If the company does not do well, what do the best leaders do? They assume responsibility and they make changes. But they have to assume the responsibility, just like they want all the credit, right? That's why they work so hard to rise up in the ranks and climb the corporate ladder and, get to the C-suite, all these different things, because they want that recognition. They want the money. They want all of the things that come with winning and getting credit for the win. So therefore, when there's a loss, who has to also assume that credit? The people in leadership. So when it comes to our society, when we look at our society and say like, damn, how did we get here? How did we end up here? We got the most hatred. We got the most fear. We got the most out of shape people, the most uneducated people, all of these different things that we have to have some group of people take accountability for it, right? I know when it comes to this generation, the generation that I'm in, if 30, 40 years from now, the kids are suffering, not doing well, not educated, not healthy, not prioritizing the things that they should be prioritizing, I will accept responsibility for that. I will say, damn, we did a terrible job of raising these young men. And specifically as a male leader. That's who I should see myself as, right? I'm definitely not going to be a follower when it comes to this stuff, following mainstream things. I will definitely follow the right people. I'll follow people that I think are aligned with my principles, morals, and values. But outside of that, nah. I'm doing my own research. I'm going to be a free thinker. I'm going to be objective. And I'm going to remove myself from just getting online with the rest of the sheep and just doing, whatever, I was going to say whatever Master says, but whatever the powers that be say, right? Right? Because think about it. And when I say master, I'm not even talking about a slave master. Whoever controls you when making the decisions, especially the poor decisions that we all make, right? The poor decisions that we all make, whoever controls those decisions, that's what we are. That's who we see as our master. That's who we idolize. I don't care whether it's Jordan sneakers. I don't care whether it's, wanting to have sex with a lot of women, whatever it is. Largely the things that become our addictions, those are the things that prevent us from reaching the goals that we're looking to reach, our vices. So let's move on to Andrew Tate. and let me know what y'all think about
A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act as a man should. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. A traditionally masculine man.
And I may play that again just because I don't know why they have that annoying music in the background. It's too loud. But what is he talking about? When you hear him talk, does he sound like somebody that should be banned or somebody that is a terrible role model for our kids? Does he sound like somebody that we should be scared of? I'm going to say no from my perspective. However, if I was speaking from a John D. Rockefeller's perspective, and my goal was to keep people sheep and to keep people just thinking from a working class mindset, then this would be dangerous. Because it's okay for groups of people or men to lead organizations or inspire certain people. But when it comes to inspiring, especially young men and men that are capable, young and capable men, when you inspire them and when they listen to you, the powers that be get nervous because they know that they can awake. They know that you have the power to awaken a group that just by changing their mindsets could cause an issue for the people that are in power because they can shake things up. It's like when you see a team that's not that good or that continues to lose, when they and they just have this mindset that then becomes like a losing mentality. You ever seen a team that loses so much where even though they may have great players on the team, they just have a losing mentality? So therefore, everything that they do, from getting late to practice, getting late to meetings, not paying attention in meetings, arguing, being more selfish than selfless, putting their personal goals before the team, all these different factors, those are a losing mentality, a losing culture. But then when you have somebody that can come in and shake things up, whether it's a coach or maybe a great player that ups the standard for people, that makes them excited about doing all the things that are going to lead to winning and developing those habits and working towards them enthusiastically, the rest of the league has a problem on their hands because they already have the talent. They already have the skill, but they've just been taught for so long and, made a sheep for so long that they don't act on it. They don't have the belief. They're not inspired. But when you have an Andrew Tate, who he's decided to pinpoint and target a very specific group, he understands that our society is becoming emasculated. He understands that our men are not serving our purpose as leaders. That's why women do not trust us. When you look around at the relationship issues, we always talk about there's a gender war between men and women, especially my age. There's a gender war between men and women my age. I'll even say that there's probably one from the generation before, but we just act on ours, and maybe we're the products of the gender war. So therefore, maybe it's magnifying in us, or we represent it. So therefore, when we look at, let's say, I'm talking mainly with the Black community, but what do I always say? The same issues that are impacting the Black community or have impacted the Black community over the years, it's starting to become a Western issue. It's not a Black issue. You're seeing it in American households and American society overall. But when you have, let's say, Black men and young Black men and young Black women, I was just talking to Maya about this at lunch, and I didn't know what I was going to say, what they were saying, so I didn't want to say her name. So now I can't say if they said it, whatever. All right, so I was just talking to Maya about this at lunch, and the war is clear. There is a war where there's so much built up resentment because men have not been fulfilling their purpose. So now what do women have to do? Now women have to step into a role that, in my opinion, you're not naturally suited for. When I talk to a lot of women, it sounds good in your 20s, but then by the time you reach your 30s, you're like, hold up, like, who lied to me? Who sold me on this climbing the corporate ladder, becoming a boss bee and being a CEO and all these different things? They don't want to do that. They want to, at least, even if they want to do that, they still want a man that they can rely on to protect and provide them. That if they wake up one day and say, hey, I don't, this work stuff, I want to have a family. I may not want to work the type of hours, may not want to climb this corporate structure. I don't want to have to work in order to bring home a certain amount and provide. But, if I can, cool. But even if they can, based on the women that I speak to, it's still nice to know that it's not necessary. Like, it's not something where, hey, if I'm not working these crazy hours, then we can't put food on the table. It's not that. But what ends up happening? So therefore, because we haven't shown up as men, now women have to take on roles, and largely not only take on the role that they've already been, serving as women, but now they got to take on the roles that are typically more masculine. And what ends up happening? It's cool, in the beginning, but then you start to resent it. Y'all know I relate everything to sports. It's cool if I need to cover you on one play because you're not doing your assignment. But then it gets to a point where, hey, yo, coach, you got to replace this dude with somebody, because I got to not only worry about my assignment, now I got to worry about this person's assignment. And there's no way that I can do that. Now I'm getting tired. I'm trying to worry about not only my assignment, but their assignment. Now it's causing me to not fulfill my duty the best. You see what's happening? So getting back to play whatever role that you want to play. Play whatever role that you want to play. Embrace whatever role that you want to play. But we cannot look at this society and not understand that men have failed. We failed. And I don't understand why it's so hard to say that. I don't understand why it's so hard to say, fellas, we've been playing this game a particular way for a very long time. It's not working. We keep losing. So instead of embracing losing, why don't we try something different? Why don't we try to see, hey, maybe there's another political party that we should vote for. Maybe we should be doing this religion thing a little bit differently. Maybe we should be doing a spiritual thing differently. Maybe we should be tapping into more manifesting, more using visualization, becoming more healthy, all these different things that are not aligned with what mainstream media, society encourage us to do. But because that's not working, what do you do when something's not working? You look for another option, right? So I don't know. So we got a couple comments. Let me keep up with this. Let me actually bring this video down for a second. iRock wrote, I feel like females have grown and adapted. I agree. Most men still think all we need is the bills paid. They don't want emotional growth. I'm traditional as far as relationships, but our moms and grandmas suffered. I agree with everything. We are in a tough spot. We're in a tough spot. And this is why, exactly what you just said, your last sentence, our moms and grandmas suffered. We see this all the time where the moms and grandmas suffer. So now what do they have to tell their daughters? They got to tell their daughters like, hey, I had to stay with your father. He wasn't treating me right, but I had to stay with your grandfather. You know how it is back in the day that there wasn't really as many options. Now, I'm not saying that, neither here nor there on there. But the point that I'm saying is what we're passing down to our young women, because the fellas we haven't been showing up, is now what do we tell our daughters? Hey, you need to make sure that you're good regardless. You need to make sure that you don't need a man to provide for you. You need to make sure that you don't need a man to protect you. You need to make sure that you don't need to rely on a man for these certain things for you to have a particular life that you're looking to live. So what do they have to now do? They have to embrace this role. So now they're focusing on these aspects rather than maybe other aspects if men were actually fulfilling our roles as men and leaders. So let me make sure that I responded to everything. Most men still think all we need is bills paid. You would know that more than me. I'll tell you what, my friend group, I'll be totally honest, and maybe my friend group is a little bit unique. But when I look across the board at a lot of my friends, and even, and I'm talking all different, I'm talking like all different brackets as far as, the money that these particular people make. And I would say that the fellas, I don't know. I'll be totally honest, iRock. I don't know if dudes think that women just need their bills paid. I'll be honest, that would kind of be a step up. that would be a step up, because a lot of the things that I'm hearing from the ladies that I speak to, fellas ain't worried about your bills. Fellas ain't worried about your bills. And let me ask you a question. Fellas are not worried about your bills. We're going to split these things. We're going to split these things. Matter of fact, I'm perfectly fine with you working more than me and you bringing home more. Let's do it, babe. I see more of that. But to be totally honest, and we were having this conversation at lunch as well, do you blame them? Now, hear me out. When I say, do you blame the fellas? You have all these organizations like the Democrats, all these super liberals that always push and encourage women. They're always trying to empower women at the expense of men, right? They're always trying to empower women, women's empowerment, this and that, right? You have all these groups. We talked about the video, I believe, what was it, on Friday, where I believe the lady Nina, she was on there talking about how the Democratic Party has a history of emasculating men. And it's clear now, maybe more than ever. So therefore, when you have a group that is empowering women to want to be equal, right? You want to be equal. So if you want to be equal, then you can't really be upset when the guy comes to the table and says, hey, we're going to split this check equally, because you're making just as much, or in a lot of situations I see, maybe more. So that's where I'm saying it's like I understand it now. I told y'all I'm more of a traditional minded person. That it is what it is. I don't care whether I'm more of a traditional person. I'm more of a traditional person. And I think now more than ever, fellas, now more than ever, we need to be making money and making sure that we can provide. All right. On the heavier side, however you break it up, I would say we need to, I don't know if 50-50 is going to work. I don't know, but I'm not married. So maybe somebody who's married, they can give more insight, and I would be 100% open to hearing them out. I'm just kind of speaking from the things that I'm observing. Just speaking from the things that I'm observing. This is what I see when I hear women's empowerment. This is what I hear. That women, and I've said this before, I believe, women, what do they want? And I'm not talking about, like I said, we have to be a little bit careful of not understanding that this group is a little bit different. Most people don't want to even come on and have these type of conversations. So we know that we're a little bit different than maybe a lot of other people may think. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about any women on here. Definitely. I really don't think that it applies. Like, I'm not just saying I'm not talking about you. I actually do not think it applies. However, what do women want? Women want the power of men. They want the privilege of women, right? The power that comes with being a man, the privilege that comes with being a woman, and the accountability of a child. Now, why do I say the accountability of a child? With all these women's empowerment groups out here, anybody can see that when you go so hard and empower women at the expense of emasculating men, who are you really hurting? You're hurting the entire household. So when you emasculate black men, that I think that the Democratic Party, and just men, let me not say black men, when you emasculate men, like I think the Democratic Party is doing, who does that end up hurting? See, the people that are in politics, they don't care. They're already married. They probably don't even like their husbands or wives. It's just they know that they got to be married in politics, whatever, put on the front, do what you need to do. Cool. They don't care. But when you just empower one group at the expense of emasculating the other group, then what ends up happening? You have these unbalanced relationships where men cannot fulfill their roles. They cannot live up to being a provider, cannot live up to being a protector. But my point when I say the accountability of a child, ladies, I don't hear the ones that disagree. I don't ever hear women calling out these other women empowerment agendas. I really don't. I'm just being honest. In a conversation, yes, I understand that in a conversation, but in a public space, I don't see it. I don't see a lot of women that, what do they start calling women? They start calling women pick-me's and start criticizing the women when they actually call out and hold other women accountable and hold these groups accountable. And people don't even realize, like, yo, if you really want to empower women and if you really want to improve the lives of women, then let's actually start figuring out how we can improve the performance of men, right? Doesn't that make sense? So I don't know. Let me make sure that I'm keeping up with these comments. But our moms and grandmas suffered in silence. I agree. No, I got you. I understand what you meant. All right, Mama Lero. Yeah, they did suffer. And that's why we have to break the mold and make a difference. We have to create a happy medium. I agree. I agree. I'm old fashioned. I'd rather male and female roles. I want to serve my man, but I want emotional connection too. But they are ruining men. Honestly, there's some ladies that are delusional too. It's all of us. It's all of us. And that's why I maybe I'm sure that a lot of people listening now will say that I'm a lot heavier on the men. When I used to have these conversations that were focused more on the show, you know, we used to incorporate relationship talks, especially when Kamari was on. We used to talk about these things. And what ends up happening is I'm going to be honest with the men. That's no problem. Y'all hear me. But whenever I would try to hold the women accountable, it was more of an issue. I'm just being honest. Maybe that's just because it's a man doing it. So I'm perfectly cool with that. Y'all don't want a man holding you accountable. Cool. I'll hold the men accountable, but y'all got to start holding the women accountable. So let's leave that there. So I do want to show y'all this other video with Andrew Tate. I believe it was on Instagram. Give me a second. Because I believe he spoke out on what he's facing right now. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Let me get this part shared, and I'll show you that in a second. Is it right here? Perfect. All right, so take a look at this video. So this is after Andrew Tate had his home raided. They still haven't pressed any charges on him. So let me kind of give you the backstory a little bit with Andrew Tate. And this is, I got this from another source. I did not read, but Candace Owens, who read, and I trust her research. So I do trust her research, but she read a lot of the case files. And based on the case files, Andrew Tate is being accused of sex trafficking women. Now, I believe that there's like 30 women that they're saying that the women aren't the ones pressing the charges. That's the funny part. The Romanian government, I believe, is pressing the charges. And out of the 30 women, I think like 26 of them wrote letters saying, I don't know what y'all are talking about. We didn't get sex trafficked. I think the other two were mothers of their children. And then there's like another two. And I think these other two, one of them, dig this, one of them, and this is in the case files, whatever it is. I don't know, whatever it's called, whatever Candace Owens, she did her due diligence and research. I trust her research on this issue. And overall, but I trust her research, the research aspect of it. And what she was saying is that there were women that got flued out. They got flued out to the Tate brothers' estate, and they got bored. And they reached out to another one of their rich male friends, boyfriends, whatever it is, and were trying to get plane tickets out of them. So they were trying to say, hey, can you get us a flight? We're not trying to be here anymore. And they made up this it's a complete fabricated story. And the reason why I'm saying it's fabricated story, because they acknowledged that it was fabricated. And that's a part of the case as well. So they made up a story to this guy that they were trying to convince to fly them out to the next vacation spot. And they told them that we're being trafficked. We're being sex trafficked. So please, send us a flight. The guy actually reached out to the authorities. The authorities raided the home. And I believe that there's text messages that show from that particular lady to the guy that called the authorities saying, what are you doing? Like, we just were looking for a flight out. We didn't know that you were going to call the authorities. Like, what? Like, we're not, like, we just made this up. We were just. So here Andrew Tate is, they're ruining his life. It's not fair, but nobody's speaking out on it. Nobody's speaking out on it. Now, you may not like somebody's personality, and this happens even in our politics. It's like, you may not like Trump, but just because you don't like him doesn't mean that you think that no matter what he gets indicted of, he should get indicted because he's an asshole. That's not how things work. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing on the other side. You can't just indict people and all of us just kind of stick around and just sit back and say, oh, well, yeah, I don't care. They're an asshole. That's insane. That's insane. And we're going to touch on this later. I know we've been talking about a lot on the last couple shows where it's like, you ever sit back and wonder, how did slavery happen? Like, how did people just be okay with this? It's because nobody stood up. Nobody assumed a leadership position and said, this is wrong. Just like nobody stands up now in certain situations that we see clear as day and say, this is wrong. So let me play a video of Andrew Tate, because he's calling certain people out for not acknowledging this. And you guys tell me.
I looked into the case, and what I saw was something horrific. A young woman got a flight paid for her by the Tate brothers to Romania. She wanted to go. When she got there, she got bored. I know this because her actual text messages are in the file. She started texting with another man, and this
I didn't even know that this was the video that we're playing, but I'm glad. I forgot that she actually details it. She could have saved me a lot of time, but there we go.
This man happened to have connections to the military or the state some way or another, and she's trying to get him to pay for a flight for her to go somewhere else on vacation. So her and her friend begin texting. They start laughing with one another, saying, like, what if we just make up that we're being sex trafficked? She says something along those lines to the guy that she's trying to get to fly her out of Romania, and he takes it seriously. He's going to alert the authorities that this woman he believes is being sex trafficked. So he does that. The authorities swoop in. They raid their compound while the girl is there. And as they are raiding, she is texting this guy. And she says to him, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, you're ruining my life. How could you have done this? You were just supposed to buy me a free ticket somewhere else. I can't believe you alerted the authorities to something that I was just saying because I kind of wanted to go on another free vacation. I looked into the case, and what I saw was something horrific. A young woman.
What do y'all think? And that's not the clip that I was supposed to show y'all. So let me actually show y'all Andrew Tate outside the court. But I'm glad that we did do that. Outside courthouse. Hold on. Because I want to play y'all this video, and I want to get y'all thoughts on it. So here we go. Here we go. Take a listen. Let me know what you think.
And there is no way. Wait till you say I'm a lover boy, the mother of my children.
Yeah, the mothers of our children.
We've tricked them into having
so
kids.
We can't see our kids anymore. That's what they've done.
Wait till you see. I moved to Romania 10 years ago, and I found an amazing country full of beautiful people. And I told the whole world about Romania. If you mention the name Romania anywhere in the world, they'll say, Andrew Tate lives there, Andrew Tate lives there. I've done nothing but promote this country. I've done nothing but say fantastic things about Romania endlessly. And when I did this, people would say to me, if Romania is so nice, if it's so safe, it's so beautiful, why has it got such a bad reputation? And I said, well, there's probably a few bad actors, a few bad people who destroyed the entire reputation. Like the few fools at DCOT who just came along and told us that the mothers of our children are somehow human trafficked. Spending millions of euros, wasting their time trying to put innocent men in jail instead of fixing the roads, fixing the hospitals, fixing this country. You have a beautiful country full of beautiful people.
It's like you go so far to, and this, you go so far to ruin somebody's life and to just make their life hard. He can't fly out of Romania. Matter of fact, I think he was on house arrest for so long. I'm not even, his brother, I don't think can leave Romania. And I don't think he can even leave. I don't want to misquote it, but his life has been destroyed in a lot of ways. Now, I don't want to say destroyed to say it's completely destroyed. Don't want to say that, but you're just messing with somebody so much and bullying them to the point where it's like, you just want me to drop out. Like, you just want me to stop speaking on these things. Why do you want me to stop speaking on these things? What am I saying that's so wrong? What am I doing that's so wrong? How have you been investigating me for 2-3 years, but you haven't even pressed charges against me, but you just want to F with my life? So when I look at somebody like Andrew Tate, I'm looking like, damn, he's actually willing to stand on principles. He's actually willing to stand up for something that, in my opinion, is something that we all would benefit from embracing. But the powers that be would not benefit from that. So my question would be, or I don't know, my stance would be, is that we need to do better. The people that know better need to do better. It's not fair for Andrew Tate to be the only person that is fighting this battle and frontlining this battle. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not courageous for us to just sit back and not say anything. So use whatever platform that you have to speak out on it. Speak out on it in your regular conversations. Don't just allow certain things to slide by. I know that when we get into these conversations, especially if you don't see the world through the lens that everybody sees it, I know somebody that's close to me that, you know, you go to, I don't want to say whatever, but they're in these certain discussion groups and they're there. And this could be maybe, let's say, a group of women. Now, if you're not fully on board saying Kamala is the best and greatest person in the world, and you actually bring up certain things that challenge the way that everybody else is just going along with the get along, it can become a tough thing, right? But the reason why it's become so tough is because people do not speak out on it. So it's always going to continue to be, it's going to continue to get even tougher if we're not voicing our opinion, if we're not standing on business, standing on principles, morals, values, and integrity. We have a masculinity problem in this country. They try to trick us with all this quote unquote toxic masculinity. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. The only thing that is toxic about masculinity is the lack of masculinity that so many women are complaining about, that IROC just pointed out. That's what toxic masculinity is. Men not being men. Toxic masculinity. Let me play this video one more time of Andrew Tate on Instagram. You tell me if you think that this is toxic masculinity. Hold on. What is it? The Instagram video. I want y'all to see this one more time. Hold on. Was it Instagram? No, I'm sorry. It was YouTube. Sorry about that. Hold on. Oh, that's not it. 1 second. I want y'all to hear this. I think it's important. Listen to what he's saying, and you tell me if it's something that we should be scared of, or if it's actually the solution to many of the problems that we complain about. You tell me.
And does things he doesn't feel like doing.
I want to run it back. Hold on. We got
A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do that. We're now teaching the new generation.
A traditionally masculine man does things that he doesn't feel like doing, but it's his duty to do them. That sounds like a pretty heroic man. I know a lot of women that would love for their significant others to embrace that way of living. That's what any growth is, right? Any growth. It's doing the things that we don't want to do in order to become better, stepping out of our comfort zone. That's what a true leader does, and you're leading by example.
Of men, they don't have duty, and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act.
This new generation of men have no duty but feelings. Because what do they tell you? Oh, that's toxic masculinity. Be vulnerable. Embrace your feelings. But let me ask you this. What do we hear when I talk about abortions, right? What do I hear women saying? Like, why do you have it? You don't know what it's like. You're not a woman. You don't know what it's like to go through. Cool. But why are y'all telling me what masculinity should be? And why are these goofy ass men going along with it? These soft, sucker, emasculated men go along with this narrative just because it makes them look cool, because they want to feel good, and the women celebrate them for embracing this silly narrative when all it's doing is destroying the next generation. You know what helps a man when they're going through something, mental health? Figure out a responsibility, figure out a duty, figure out a purpose. Now, you may disagree with it, just like I may disagree with how you feel about abortion. And you told me to shut up because I'm a man, right? So what should I tell you? Let's keep going with the video.
As a man should. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people.
Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. I agree 100%. But what are we encouraged to do? Oh, embrace your feelings and show me where a society has done these things and it's worked and it's produced the results that we're saying that we're looking for in our men. Show me the results. Show me a society that has embraced this way of thinking where it's almost to the point where, you know what's so funny? If you say these things to women, think back to the Kansas City Chiefs kicker, when he was telling women, hey, it's no, like, we understand that the world is telling you that the way that you get empowered, the way that you feel good about yourself is to go get a corporate job, climb the corporate ladder, do all these different things, right? Professionally, right? If a man said these very same things to women, if a man told a woman, hey, you know, you got to be a little bit softer, embrace your feelings, like don't feel like you got to, you know, chase every goal, like embrace your feelings. If a man spoke to a woman like that, a woman would feel like you're almost trying to play her as if you got to be extra soft with her, and she would get offended and want to be treated in a different way, more stronger way. It almost feel like you're taking away my power. But why can we tell young boys to be soft, to just show your emotions, lean into your emotions, lean into your feelings, all these different things that are not producing the results that we're looking for? So here we're trying to emasculate men, but if you use these same techniques and use these same words to talk about women, the women would say that you're being you're a misogynist, right? So it's misogynistic when you say for a woman to be more feminine, be more soft, all these other things, but it's how men should act. It's perfectly fine. Matter of fact, they'll say that you're being brave by you try, fellas. I don't know if you've have ladies, be real. Fellas, go tell a woman how you feel. Be super vulnerable to her every day. Tell her how tough work is. Oh, I wanted to work out, but I just was so tired. I'm so anxious. I'm so stressed out. Oh my God, the world is just so tough. We got Kamala Harris. Why are these people not supporting Kamala? You tell me if she finds that sexy. Ladies, y'all tell me if you find that sexy. Who wants that?
He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it.
All right, let's move on from that. All right. Of course, we didn't get into all of the videos that I wanted to show, but let me kind of skip ahead. Let me skip ahead a bit. So I guess we got to talk about the main topic. So we'll talk about the main topic, and then we'll have to move a lot of this stuff to